And welcome back to Nancy's Neighborhood, folks. And let me tell you again that Alex, my producer, said I need to remind you all that we're streaming at 3:30 on Facebook instead of 3 o'clock. We've changed our time so that I'm not quite so rushed and frantic when I get here, and I can kind of sit and relax for a few minutes. And my next guest is Ken Phillips, and Ken is an author. He has been an educator in past life, and I love his books. He's written 3 that I know of, that I've read. And so I asked Ken to come on and talk about Southeastern Writers Alliance, which is something you started.
Actually, there's 3 of us that started it.
Okay.
Probably in addition to my writing, I've got into a little bit of editing for some other people, and I've got a couple of courses on Udemy now with creative writing. But one of the persons from here in Cleveland that is a writer and has 1 book already, but he had called me and wanted me to edit his latest book that he's working on. So I met with him a few times, got his book, and have gone through that and edited and gave him some suggestions. And we met and talked about it, and there were probably 2 or 3 other people from Cleveland that called me and wanted me to talk to them about publishing or so forth.
And you're an experienced writer, so if I were going to write a book, you'd be the first person I'd call. I'd say, Ken, tell me what I need to do. So I understand why they're calling you.
That, plus probably a couple of months ago, maybe been longer than that now, I did a panel with the Chamber of Commerce on authors.
Yes.
And we had pretty good turnout there. And so I guess my name's gotten around a little bit, so I've had some people call me. Anyway, Larry Bingham, who's the author that I'm working with now on a book, is from here also. Actually, he has background in Atlanta area in the commercial, not editing, but commercial working with graphics and design and those kind of things, and has gone pretty much all over the world, I guess, and done some things for some magazines and those kind of things. Anyway, he and I got to talking, and we decided that based on what I'd heard and the contacts that I'd had, that we needed to try to start an organization here in Cleveland, a place that local authors could come and meet and talk about what they needed to do and get some feedback on some things that they're working on. So we had talked about that 2 or 3 times, and then out of the blue, Claudia Reynolds from the library, and I think she works with adult
volunteers. She's the
volunteer
volunteer
down there.
Yes.
She called me and said that the library was interested in creating an local authors group, and wanted to know if I would kind of head that up. So I said, this is great timing, because Larry and I had been talking about doing that, and one of the 2 places that I considered that we could have meetings would be the library.
Of course, because it's full of books, and
right.
that's what we're going to talk about. Yes.
So, and the other one was, of course, the chamber. And so Larry and I met up there with Claudia and talked about what we envisioned this group to be and so forth. And we met 3 or 4 times and decided to go ahead with it. And so we came up with the name Southeastern Writers Alliance.
I like that name,
and,
yes.
Larry is the graphics artist and designer, so he's designed us a logo, and we'll do some other things once we get on Facebook a little bit. And so we met with Claudia. Claudia is also an author.
Oh, I did not know that.
She's done a lot of ghostwriting for people, which of course you can't tell who those names
That's
are.
Right.
And those sorts.
That's
but
right.
she also was working on some things for her own self under her own name. So we decided we would go ahead with it. And we set up our first organizational meeting the second Tuesday of September. We met, and we had about 21 people there that expressed an interest in at least seeing what we envisioned the group to be. And from that meeting then, I've contacted some other people, some people that were at that chamber meeting with us, and told them about it, and some other people that I knew that had been interested in doing some writing here in the Bradley County area. So we anticipate, obviously, those 21 people came, and they won't all show back up, and we know that, but that really surprised.
That surprises me, yes.
We expected 10 to 12 people maybe there that first meeting, but I've gotten probably, counting us, we've got at least 10 people now that have expressed interest, that they definite that they want to go ahead and work with us on that. So we will meet the second Tuesdays of each month in the Carmichael Room there at the Cleveland Public Library. And the Carmichael Room is, like you said earlier, we were talking, you go in and you go upstairs and you go back to the farthest corner, basically you can, from the stairs there in an area that they have 2 or 3 rooms back there, and including Claudia's office is back in that area. But the Carmichael Room is a pretty good area.
And it's a beautiful room. They've really decorated that nicely.
It is nice, but if we continue to get more people than what we had the other night at our first meeting, we probably will need to move to the community room or some other room that we've talked about.
Well, that's a good problem to have, Ken.
It is indeed. But we're excited about what this group can do for people. Obviously, the three of us have written some things, but I'm what we used to say we want people to become. I guess I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm not an expert on everything, but I have some experience, and I still want to get better at what I do and get better at the, I guess, ancillary areas around what just the writing is. A lot of people, when they first begin writing, think that you just go in and you write a book and you turn it over to somebody and your job's done. You just sit back and get all the royalties that come in.
Right.
But that's not how it works for most of us. So we will, I guess the format of a meeting tentatively is, and it will change, and what I told
as it necessitates itself.
The group that night, we will probably focus on 3 things each meeting, and the time for that can change each time. But we're tentatively thinking on about an hour and a half meeting with a short portion of that time, maybe a third, maybe not that much, talking about one of the elements of writing, such as where do you get ideas, the setting, character development, the plot, all of those kinds of things that beginners need some direction in, I guess.
Absolutely.
And then we will spend the rest of the time either doing some writing from a prompt, or several of our people have got works in progress, so we'll allow them to work on their creative project if they want to do that, and then we'll do some critiquing also, where we'll allow members to read a section of their book, particularly if it focuses on the area that we talked about that afternoon.
Right.
Then and then we will allow people to critique what they have written, which can get into a little bit of a story. But we came up with some rules for critiquing for not only the people presenting the items to be critiqued, but also the people that are speaking up and telling what they think about the writing. And we want to keep it civil.
Yes. Nice. You want to play nice.
Right. We want to play nice, and there's ways of saying things. And if I give you something and say read it, I want an honest opinion, but I don't really necessarily want you to say that's the worst piece of writing I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
So we want to get good constructive criticism from our people, and the critiquee also has to be able to, have a little bit of thick skin and be
Yes.
willing to not only throw your information out there for somebody to read and to comment on, but then sit and listen to what they have to say, other people have to say about it. And their first rule for the critiquee is to, I don't want to say shut up and listen, but be quiet and
Right,
listen.
right.
Okay,
And
listen
absorb
to
what's being said.
Right,
Right.
listen to what people say.
Well, see, what I like about this, Ken, is you've been through the trial by fire. You've jumped through all the hoops. You've done all this. You have 3 published books. They're available from Amazon. Tell everybody the titles, because these are great books, folks.
The first one, and they're series, but they're standalone
Yes,
stories.
they are. Yes, they are.
So that, for 2 reasons. Number one, I don't like authors that end a book with a cliffhanger and try to make you go buy the next book
Yeah.
to see what happened.
Right.
Anyway, they're a series of 3 with 3 major characters
Yes.
in each one of them. Phil Kent and his wife Cindy, and then Bill Lander is a retired SEAL that plays a major portion
Major role, yes.
role in the books. The first one was Comes the Awakening, set primarily in the Nova Scotia area. With around Oak Island, around the Lunenburg and Peggy's Cove area, and a beautiful area if you've never gone there.
Went there last September, had a great time, and thought about you the whole time I was there. I thought, this is what Ken wrote about, Peggy's Cove, yes.
And it is beautiful. That area is one of the most photographed areas and lighthouses in the world there. But the second book was Echoes of Skeletons Past, which is set primarily in the mountains of Colorado, around Durango area. The third book is The Survival Initiative, and it is set primarily, begins in the Miami area, and then changes a little bit throughout the world in that one. So those are the 3 books that I have done, and hopefully I've learned some things from that process and can share with other people.
And they're very good books, and a couple of times, and I'm not going to share the stories, but there are a couple of times Ken had things in those books that I said, has this really happened? Can this really happen? And he said, there's a possibility. And so, they're just fantastic books. And the fact that you have the 3 characters, you told me you also have some more books that you're thinking about, and 2 more books in the works. And you have the same characters. You're going to follow these characters.
Right. So far, I'm keeping the same characters because most people that have read them and commented to me like those characters and would like to see more adventures from them.
Yes.
So I've got, first time I've tried to do it, I'm working on 2 books at the same time. One of them, as I get further into them, one of them will probably take most of the focus and will probably become the predominant book to work with. But I thought I'd try that this time because I've had several ideas that I wanted to work with, and 2 of them kept coming to mind.
Wow.
So I thought I would at least try that.
Very industrious of you. So, Ken, if someone's interested, because I see by the clock on the wall we're running out of time, if someone's interested in the Writers Alliance, when do you all meet? I think you said the second Tuesday in the library. What time?
7:00 p.m.,
7 o'clock.
second Tuesday of each month. Open to published and non-published
I was
writers,
going to ask about that. Yes.
18 years old and above.
Okay, you want adults.
We want adults. And any genre, it can be fiction or nonfiction, any genre, except we don't want people to come in. Now, I'm not saying that somebody's there couldn't write in these 2 genres, but as far as our participation with them in what they share and do, so we will not allow the erotica and pornographic
Gotcha.
information to be shared in the meetings.
But now my Gothic romances would be okay, wouldn't they?
They would be okay.
All right, very good, because I do. Now, I'm a reader of all genres of I'll go from your mystery, I call yours mysteries, to Gothic romances to maybe autobiographies. I'll just read anything. And so, but I'm not fixing to write anything. Okay, so I'm excited though for your Writers Alliance organization, and I had hoped to be at the chamber the night y'all did the panel discussion because I think Bonnie Hathcock was there with you
She
all.
was,
Okay,
yes. Mm-hmm.
and Bonnie's written a really good book. I've read her book, and you can tell the difference in Bonnie's book and your book. I mean, that's a total different genre there. But anyway, I'm excited about this. So the Writers Alliance meets on second Tuesday at 7 o'clock in the library up in the Carmichael wing. And if they don't know where that is, they can just go to the front desk and they can show them how to get there.
Right.
All right.
And we will do some stuff on it. I've already set up a closed group on Facebook so that people can share information there without anybody other than the members being able to even see what's there, much less comment.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
That'll give us a chance to work and make some comments between our meetings each month.
So that you'll know kind of where you're going and the groundwork that you need for the next one. Ken, thank you so much for being on with me today. It's always great to see you, and I can't wait to get that next new book out. And let me tell everybody, Ken's other 3 books are available from Amazon. And so if you just go to Amazon.com and you can order one of his books if you want to, they're really good.
I appreciate that.
I mean, they're really, really good. If I could figure out how to go on and do an evaluation or whatever you call it, I'd give you an A+ on all of them, or a 5 or a 10 or whatever the evaluation is, because they are really, really good, and they're the kind of books that you don't want to put down.
Well, great. That's what we want to do as an author, is to give you something that you don't want to stop reading.
Well, I kept thinking, on the very first one, I kept thinking, okay, I'll get to the end of this chapter and I'll put the book down. Nope, got to the end of the chapter, had to go further. So anyway, I almost read that first book the first night I was reading. So Ken, thank you so much for being on with us. I hope you have a lot of people come and that are interested in being writers, and I'm all proud of you people that are willing to put it down on paper.
I appreciate that. And if anybody wants additional information, you can call the library and ask to speak to Claudia, or you can call me or get in touch with me through Facebook or one of my author CK Phillips .charter.net @charter.net, or my telephone number 423-593-4052.
Great. Okay, and I'll keep telling people about that, Ken, on the show, on the upcoming show, so that we can maybe get you some more people there that think they're interested in writing. They may get there and take one look at what it takes to jump through all these hoops you've jumped through and say, "Whew, I can't do it."
I appreciate that. And the people we've got, some of them have, don't feel because you're a novice that you don't belong, because we've got a few people that have never published or written anything formally, and then we've got some other people that have published some things.
And you were a novice once upon a time, too.
I sure was.
With 3 published books now. So, Ken, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on with me today, and good to see you.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Folks, don't go away. Watch our commercials, support our sponsors because they pay our bills, and I'll be right back with some upcoming events that you may need to know about. So don't go away.